up, you guys? Welcome back to Dawn and Dreams. It is your lady Ms.Z. Thank you so much for tuning into another video. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be my Ancestor Speak session. So sit back, relax, and listen. Let's go ahead and get into it. So as we know right now, there's a lot of things going out in the media. So that's why they wanted me to come on here, because I'm barely able to talk. That's how I know I needed to come on and speak. So give me just a second. There. Okay, so I want to go over some things that we need to be doing at this time as healers, practitioners, wherever you are on your level in the spiritual community, because this is really testing our resolve as far as where we stand spiritually. So I want to give some advice, and you can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But I want to just start going over a couple of things that I'm seeing that can be combated and that need to be combated right now. Because basically, I feel like, of course, this entity, not just this virus, okay? Because if you watch my videos, you know that it's in Yoruba terminology, it could be addressed even as an entity versus just a virus. Basically, it has its own category of misfortune that can be let out onto the world, and it's going to affect people differently. Some people, it's not going to make them sick. Some people, it's going to just maybe take your job, for instance. For some people, hopefully not, but for other people, it may have you, it could be, I ain't gonna say it's gonna be beneficial, but if you take control of things, if you don't let it, overtake you, then it becomes beneficial, because you get to spend more time with your kids. You can basically harper down on your spiritual learning, your spiritual development, and your spiritual communication with your ancestors. So why is this very important at this time? It is very, very important to know who your spiritual team is. Whether you connect to ancestors or whoever, it's very important to be communicating with them at this time for protection, because I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. Especially like this morning, I came across that, and I should be on Facebook. I never really am, but just with everything going on, it's been a lot. I seen that it was some video of two black women, and they were being racially profiled. They were shopping, and they didn't steal anything, but of course he tried to, I didn't even look at the video, because sometimes I don't look at it. I can just kind of get the energy and gist of what's going on based off of that. Like, he was physically kind of bumping into them, and like, honey, you're not gonna bump into me, you're not gonna touch me. So it becomes out of hand. Either call the police or you don't. That's just what it needs to be. But people are getting a little bit touchy-feely during this time, so you want to protect yourself in all measures. I feel like it's not a sense of like go out there and do something crazy, but right now I really feel like I got my notes right here, because Spirit said this to me earlier. Entities go without food and they become hungry. Okay, because there's not a lot of food on the shelves and things at this time. It's not to say that we're out of food, because I'm hearing a lot of different things, but it's not to say that. But because we are out of something that we desire, and we are not in our comfort zone per se, you're going to have people who have these entities that are attached to them that is going to start showing themselves, and you're going to start seeing a little bit more of that. Hopefully not a lot, but even if it does start showing itself, this is why you want to be protected, because you don't want to, and ladies, don't go out. If you have a man, make sure that your man is with you during this time period, or carry you some type of protection, pepper spray, taser, whatever. But these entities will start acting out, because you're not feeding me. You're not feeding this entity that's inside of me. This entity may crave a lot of food. And, after a couple of days of fasting, this entity is like on you like a leech, just like, you're not feeding me. And then it starts to get angry, and you start to see that aura around that person. So, before they weren't going to be acting like that. They probably wouldn't act like that. But now that things have come into a place of scarcity, you're going to start seeing a lot of entities showing themselves. So you can see the person that's just being angry, or you can see the oversoul of that person, and you can start seeing the entity that's attached to them starting to come out, because they don't get what they desire. So that's why I was saying in my my Instagram post, I don't know if you guys have seen that, But I was talking about how I was at my ancestor altar and I was doing a reading. And basically, the card that came up was Greedy Man. It was basically showing people taking all the food. I don't know how that card was in there because I don't, I guess it wasn't the time for the card to come out. But out of 100 cards, I think it's 100 cards in that deck. But out of 100 cards, I seen that card came up. The ancestors showed me that card. So that meant to me that, if you are in a place and a space to go ahead and get the things that you need, it doesn't necessarily mean overindulge, but don't be so modest that you're like, I'm not going to get it, because you keep putting yourself in these environments where people are starting to act very hostile. And again, it's not even necessarily them per se. It is the entities that are attached to them, because when they are out of their comfort zone and they're not getting what they need, you're going to start seeing people start acting out or acting like, it's the end of the world, okay? And this is might just be a phase, but people will act that way because that entity feels like that's attached, that feels like, okay, well, I can't feed off of this negative energy. I can't feed off of whatever you're giving me. And that's why this time even would be a good time to fast, not to starve yourself, but if you ever thought about fasting, this would definitely be a good time for that. But anyway, now this is why another thing is with altars. This is why, I have been preaching getting your altar set up, getting everything set up. If you booked a reading with me, we're going to get to that, so don't worry. If you booked a reading about, altar care, setting that up, so I'm gonna get with you and we're going to talk to you about your ancestors and your altars. But if you have not set up your altar yet, now is better than never. Go ahead and set you something up. And if you can't set something up, if you're still in an environment where it's not, feasible for you to do that, then I would still suggest you carrying something of an ancestor that you trust, okay? Someone that you actually know, someone that if they were here today, you would still be talking to them, I wouldn't say more so grab on the unknown ancestors if you haven't been, having your altar set up and stuff like that. I would say for people who have been working with the ancestors, you want to grab on to all of your ancestors. But for the people that kind of, have been kind of in and out and haven't really, taken that aspect seriously, now is the time to connect to them, okay? Because they're going to send you messages. And for those of you who know a little bit about me, and I'm not going to make this video too long, but for those of you who know a little bit about me, you know that I call myself Lady of the Crow, because the crow spirit is my main spirit animal. I consider them family. And I also have other spirit animals as well, like the hawk, the raven, and they're intertwined. I work with a lot of birds because sometimes it won't even be them. Sometimes it might be a dove or something that might pop up. But on a regular basis, it's the crow, okay? So crow spirit spoke to Lante while he was at work, and he was coming to pick me up. So he was coming to pick me up, but the crow spirit had landed, in the yard where he was at, and it was actually eating on something. And he was like, we talk about it all the time because they're always talking. But he said they never really land on the ground over here. They're normally just flying, and I see it eating something. And that was the same day that I said, you know what, we need to make sure that we go and get something to eat, because, and it wasn't really, it was like the first couple of days of the stages where people start going into scarcity. It was around that time, or maybe a weekend, I don't know. But anyway, but I know it was last week, I think. So he said that, and then as he was on his way to pick me up so that we could go ahead and go, the crow spirit came and sat on the concrete where I was at, okay? And they were doing the same thing, silent. Now, I'm not used to my crow spirits being silent. I'm not used to that. They normally speak. No, sometimes they're silent. It depends. If I'm like sad or something, they'll come around me and be very silent. But for the most part, they are always, chirping and cawing and stuff like that. They're always doing that. So this time around, it was on the ground and it was feeding. It was eating, basically. And that was a symbol of, yes, you do need to get something to eat, because these people are probably going crazy, and the basically the gist of it is eating, okay? So basically translating these messages right now and translating these omens are going to be very important. That's why I'm telling you to start working with your ancestors, ancestor spirits, start venerating them. Even if you start today, better late than never. Start you know, if you work with spirit animals, because not a lot of people do, and that's fine. It just depends on you and your nature. But if you are attracted to spirit animals and they have been coming near you, pay attention to what they're doing, because whatever they're doing, they're trying to get a message to you. And I realized if we hadn't went that day, we wouldn't have gotten certain essentials that we needed. Okay, and we didn't even go crazy like everybody else, you know. But essentially that was kind of the message that, yeah, you guys probably need to go ahead and get something today, because it's going to be a lot of things out of stock for weeks to come. Even if they're not out of stock, it's going to seem that way. So what's another thing? Back to carrying your tools. If you go out in public, like I said, you want to carry something that has something to do with your ancestral lineage, your protection, something to basically reinforce your energy when it is being, you know, attacked by the virus, the entities, everything that's out right now that's attached to people and that's attached to the energy in itself. So if you do happen to go out during this time, wear your protection. For those of you who got the ancestor bead, shout out to you. Make sure you put that at your altar. Make sure that it is charged upon your ancestors, but use it, okay? Always wear it, you know. Another thing is, if you don't have any jewelry from your ancestors, you can also take a little small photo of them. If you have a photo of your grandparents or whoever that you're very close to and tight knitted, carry that in your pocket. Keep it in your wallet. Wherever you go, carry something with you that symbolizes you always got your ancestors on your back. And it does make a difference, because it's basically like you carrying them with you. So when you don't notice things, they're going to find a way to grab your attention to it. Okay? It's like, basically, say for instance, you know, I'm carrying my grandfather's picture, my great grandfather's picture with me. And, you know, I go out and he may say, you know what, this store is kind of crowded. And how he shows me the symbol is maybe he blocks me from going this direction. And I say, well, you know, it's kind of, there's traffic. There's too much traffic over here. Maybe I'll just turn back and go, you know, to a store near my house. And that store near my house tends to be clear. You know, things like that. People don't notice the small things, but that is your ancestors communicating to you. So you have to pay attention to certain things. And it comes from you basically implementing, reinforcing that energy of you being spiritual and not living in the mundane. Okay, so your spiritual gifts, your spiritual protection, all of that's going to be important right now. The last thing I want to talk about is spiritual protection for your family. Okay, now I already plan on doing this ritual for my family, and then, you know, maybe I can make it available for everybody else. But you can do this yourself as well. So if you have some candles, you definitely want to do your candle magic. It just depends on you, okay? Because some people will be like, you know what, I'm not good at candle magic. And you don't have to be, but you do want to do something. Even if you put something at your doorstep. I'm better at candle magic more than anything. I can do some other things too, but that's just like my lingo with communicating with the ancestors. But also having talismans. We even thought about doing something, but we're like, no, you know, we don't want to scare people off. But if it gets to that point, that's what we'll do. You can create little dolls. I actually was going to sell my little ancestor dolls, but you see, I never get around to stuff because I'm always busy. But, and I don't know if I don't even have my little ancestor doll with me because I cleaned off this table, but I'm going to put them back up here. But say for instance, this is my little spirit pendulum, but it's also a doll in a sense. So you can look at this like a little doll. You can hang something like this on the outside of your door, or even like cover it up. It doesn't have to be seen. Do something to where you have your outside door protected. Because I also seen something like that. I don't know. It's, you know, it's stuff going on all over the world. Sorry, I was looking at something else. It's stuff going on all over the world. So, if you have like a little doll or something to emblem, even a wreath, something to put on the outside of your door, you can enchant it, you know, put a spell on it, whatever you got to do. put it at your door, okay? That way when people come into your area, you are protected, and it'll revert people from coming to you if they don't mean you well. Because I've seen something online about people knocking on the door claiming to be the health department, and they're not really there to do that. They're there to be thieves. So you might want to watch your cameras and things like that. But again, if you're protected, you don't necessarily have to worry about that. But in case something does come through or tries to get through, you are protected, okay? Because like I said, it's not just a virus. Look at it more so on a spiritual level, as above so below. So on a spiritual level, look at it almost like a person walking around just spreading germs everywhere they can. It might not get you sick, but they may just cause irritation, and any way that it can do that, it's going to do that. So don't just think that just because you didn't get sick, you still didn't experience certain irritations dealing with it. And a way to avoid that is to use your spirituality, okay, so that you can just be smooth sailing all the way through the process while everybody's acting crazy. You can be in the smooth sailing process. Your family can be okay. That's what you need to worry about at this time: protecting your family, protecting yourself, and again, really speaking to your spirits at this time, okay? If you are having dreams, this is the last thing I'm gonna get into. If you're having dreams and things like that, write them down, okay? Because again, every day it seems like they're coming up with something new to tell us that's crazy about what's going on right now. So your ancestors will really communicate to you through your dreams, if nothing else. If you have oracle cards, those are good things to use. If you can't do the reading, let somebody do it for you. Somebody in your family, have them pull the card. If you feel like your energy's just a little bit too excited, let them do it for you. I think that's pretty much it. Besides reading omens and just paying attention to the ancestor messages, that's pretty much it. I just really wanted to get that out there because the ancestors would like tell them this, because even if it doesn't help everybody, I know it'll help somebody. So all right guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and go. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.